Hi, everybody. I am Kevin Ioli from Yahoo Sports, and my next guest, you will get to see him for the second consecutive time on Fox, fighting Max Griffin in his hometown of Orlando on Saturday. Mike Perry, Mike Platinum Perry. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's Platinum Mike Perry, Kev. We gotta let the world know the platinum come
Platinum Mike.
first.
We got that. Well, I apologize about that, Platinum Mike.
It's all
I'll make
good.
sure I get that right from here on in. What do you expect in this fight? I know you're coming off a tough fight. You had a great 2017 by any measure, a huge win over Jake Ellenberger, two big knockouts. Came back with a tough loss to Santiago Ponzinibbio in Winnipeg. What do you expect out of Max Griffin to kick off 2018?
I expect a lot of blood out of Maxi Pad. He I'm gonna bust his face up. I'm gonna beat him down, and we're gonna see what he can take. We can see how long he can handle it, how long he can survive. I'm thinking 3 minutes, maybe.
So you're barely giving them halfway through the first round. So a little anger coming off the last loss where you feel like maybe you could have won that fight and you're going to take it out on Griffin?
I wouldn't call it anger. I just, it's a lesson. I'm blessed to learn the lessons that I learned the way that I learned them. At least I didn't have to learn it waking up off my back on the beach, boy. You know what I'm saying? I was standing strong at the end of that fight, and before they raised his hand, mine was raised, and Canada was calling my name. They were shouting for me, and they were behind me. The love and support, that's all I can ask for. I want to ask for the victory. I train hard for the victory. I train harder for this one. I didn't. Now that I've trained and I'm ready for this fight, the coach I've been working with that I didn't have for Canada, I can see the differences in myself, and I'm just, I'm just a ball of knowledge that's gaining more every day. Every day I learn more about myself, about the sport, about my capabilities, about what works and what does not.
What is the difference? Like, what do you think technically is the difference between the fighter we saw in Winnipeg and the fighter we'll see on Saturday in Orlando?
The training camp. The training camp is the difference. Now that I have cardio, and I thought I trained hard for Santiago. I thought I was in shape, but now that I am in fantastic shape, I know that I was not in shape at all for the
Mm.
Ponzinibbio fight. I went 3 5-minute rounds where most people would have been done in the first 2 minutes. You could say that I gassed out in that fight about 3 or 4 times. I get new wins, and I'm a survivor. I'm tough as hell. I push forward, and I got a lot of pressure that I. I'll tell you this: Ponzinibbio was in fantastic shape for
He's
that
a
fight,
great
and I
fighter and in good shape. Yeah.
wore him down. My pressure wears people down, and I'm gonna continue that. I believe everything was correct in the fight. The way that I fight once I'm in the octagon is just how I'm built. I'm made to perform. My fighting style does well. It and now I've been working on the point system. My fighting has never been one for the points. I'll lose a round, not drastically, by a couple of points. Maybe somebody get a takedown.
Right.
I've lost a round, and then second round comes and I just get a devastating knockout.
You definitely got those heavy hands.
It's my style, man. It's sometimes you got to draw people in and make them think that they give them a little confidence, make them think that they have something on you, and then it's the little things, man, the little tricks that you can pull off from experience.
Boxers call that setting traps, and so you're doing that same thing. And you come from Flint, Michigan, and I just want to look at this list because there's a ton of great fighters from Flint, Michigan. Chris Byrd, who was the heavyweight champion, Claressa Shields, who won back-to-back gold medals. She's now a world champion. Andre and Anthony Dirrell were both world champions, and yourself. I know there's a few others. What is it about Flint? What's going on in Flint that makes so many
Hey,
people great fighters?
Floyd Mayweather was from Grand Rapids.
Not
That's
far away.
not
Sugar
far.
Ray
That's
Robinson's from Michigan.
that's right around the corner. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you what it is. I mean, look, my boy Erickson Lubinson, he's from Haiti, and I've been talking about it with my manager. Is the type of people that come from the hood. We're raised to respect our belongings. I went to school with a lot of people who, if they had a fresh pair of white Air Force Ones on, they walked slow. They made sure nobody stepped on their shoes, because if they got home and they scuffed their new white shoes, their parents would be very upset with them because they're not taking care of their things. People who have all these things just handed to them may not care about them as much, and just take them for granted. So, I can't take nothing for granted. This money that's come my way, this comfortability that I have nowadays to eat, be able to afford food and a place, a roof over my head, and
Wait a
and
minute. Let's
and
go back
walk.
to that. Be able to afford food. You were at a point in your life where you weren't able to afford food?
Absolutely, I used to sleep in my car or at the gym on the mats that I taught at the UFC gym, and there was a couple of nights I slept on the mats, and I sleep at this girl's house or that girl's house, and just to I would hustle my way into being comfortable, or scraping change out of my cup holder to go get a burger at McDonald's. That's where I come from. That's what I came from. My family used to trash pick like couches and chairs and stuff, like
Wow.
furniture. When I was young, we would be driving down the road and my stepmom stopped the car and we put a lazy boy on the roof, and like when she stopped and be like, "We're gonna get that chair," I used to be like, "No, man, I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to take nobody's trash, man. I don't want nobody's trash." And we used to run out of gas and have to walk with my stepmom and my parents, and I told myself that I was gonna change my life and that I wasn't gonna run out of gas no more. And now it costs me $50 for a tank of gas a day in my 6.3 AMG, baby. I'm I, I'm blessed to have that opportunity, though. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
I understand. Yeah. I'm glad.
maybe
I'm
some
glad for
people
you.
won't.
What is it inside? Like, it has to be, because there's a lot of people that grow up in bad spots and they live their whole life in that bad spot. There's some people, and we see it in athletics a lot, where and especially in the fight game, where guys can rise up out of poverty, and women can rise up out of poverty and succeed. But there has to be something. Did somebody teach you a lesson? Was there something that turned it around for you, that enabled you to get out of that cycle of poverty and violence, and get to become successful?
So probably jail, man. Probably jail. You know what I mean? I went to jail and realized that the path that I was on, and I one time, listen, there was a time, and it's funny to say this because there was the school shootings in Florida and
Right.
things like that. And as an adult, you know a lot more because you've been through it. But when you're a kid, you don't even know what consequences are.
Right.
You just go out there acting a fool all willy nilly. And then when I went to jail, then I seen what I didn't want to do, where I didn't want to be, what type of life I didn't want to live. I had to go through those consequences, and I'm lucky that it wasn't worse than it was. I could have spent way more time in jail, or I could have went to prison. But the path that I ended up on didn't go that way. I did a little bit, and it was enough to show my hard-headed self that I can do better and I can be better, and I didn't have to stick with the statistics, and that I could change my path.
Well, good for you. I'm really glad to hear that. I want to ask you this, because this is something I one time had to go to jail to bail somebody out, and that was just bailing somebody out was scary to be in there. I can only imagine what went through your mind the first night when you heard the door close and you're in there that first night. You're going to be in there a few months at least. What goes through your mind as you go lay your head down on a pillow to sleep the first night in jail? What do you think about?
You know, I don't think it's the first night that you get that epiphany. I think it's after you do a few nights and
Mm.
you're like, wow, I'm getting hungrier every day. I'm getting less food every day. I don't want to be here more every day. I made mistakes and there's nothing I can do to leave this place until they tell me it's time to leave. I have no freedom here. Once you take that away from a human, I think you see our capabilities as humans, how great we really can be, how fast we can change the path we're on. And I just, as a fighter, it's a physical thing that I have to do. Which is, to me, I always thought was the easiest. But sometimes I wish I was a chef so I could just eat all the time and be fat and didn't have to cut weight. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm grateful to have my athleticism and my physical capabilities to be able to push hard in these workouts and run faster than some people and punch harder than some people and to be in the UFC and to be here and fight to entertain the world is such an opportunity that a lot of people don't get, and I won't take it for granted. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability for as long as I can until my time is no more. And then I still want to be a part of the sport. I love this sport so much.
It's a great
I
sport.
want to commentate, or I want to manage some fighters. I want to coach some fighters and help teach them, because I see a lot of guys doing stuff that they just have no idea is wrong. You know what I mean? Until they suffer and learn the lesson.
Right.
You go on a fight, and I see guys who don't keep their knees bent. They straighten their kneecap, and then a guy throws a straight side kick to their kneecap, and they start busting up their knees and their legs, and then they can't walk. One of the first things I learned: keep your knees bent at all times, just a little bit. And then I used to teach at a gym. When I would ask people to do that, it's funny how they can't. The first time you keep your knees bent for 15 minutes, oh my God, the way
You
that
have trouble
wears out
walking
your
later.
legs and your butt. Yeah, have you limping for real. But now it's like the back of my hand. It's just so natural.
I think the fighters are maybe the best conditioned athletes, are right up there. I tell people who don't believe that, I say, just put your arms out straight in front of you and hold them there for 3 or 5 minutes and see how it feels at the end of those 3 or 5 minutes. And imagine now doing that while moving, and a guy that's been trained to kill you is coming at you. I mean, that you guys are in such great shape. But I think it's the mental attitude. You have that, and you have that. You said before your last fight, I'm devastating, I'm destructive, and I'm rambunctious. When a guy believes that, do you feel like that takes you to another level when you have that belief in yourself, like you clearly have, Mike, that you can perform even greater than what you might even think your capabilities are?
Absolutely. You can always be better. With the last fight, you had two fighters with me and Ponzinibbio that were both very tough and strong-minded. He was as strong-minded as I am. So I was having trouble seeing, people would ask me questions. What's your edge on Ponzinibbio? And I really thought we were quite even at that
Right.
time. I thought, I watched the Road to the Octagon, and he was like, "Oh, this one fight, I broke my arm, and I still win the fight because I'm so tough." And yeah, I thought, well, if I break your arm, I'm too tough. You're not gonna stay tough against me. If I break your arm, you
Right.
can't beat me with one arm. But I wasn't able to break his arm. He was very smart, and you know, obviously it shows when he walked away with the win that his edge in that fight was his experience. He's got one of the best records in the welterweight division. He had twice the fights I had, and I see that and I go, well, not one of them 30 people he fought was like me. And that showed when I busted him up, but it showed my youngness. It showed my purple belt and not my black belt. And I I'm grateful for the lessons. I have to learn these lessons out here, and I'm grateful that I live to fight another day.
Yep.
and and I'm gonna prove myself this Saturday. I believe I'm better than Max everywhere. I believe he doesn't deserve to stand across from me. I didn't feel that way honestly inside about Ponzinibbio. I thought I have a tough opponent.
Right.
I was excited about it, but I didn't train for it as hard as I could have, and I didn't know that because I have a coach now. See, I had a coach in Pittsburgh, best shape of my life. I didn't use that coach for the Canada camp, and I felt it, noticed it, and realized it. Brought him back instantly. As soon as I got back to the States from Canada, I contacted that guy. I told him I needed him, and he makes all the difference in the world. He really does. I was always the type of fighter mentally. I was like, it's just me in there,
Right.
and that's all I need. That's all I need. Training is just me. I'm gonna, but but that's a mistake.
At
You
this
if
level,
you
against the best guys in the world, you need that.
especially against the best guys, you need a good team around you. I have the best management team. I have the best training partners. And there was a time when I would only use one of them at a time. I would only use my management and not my training partners. Or I would only use my training partners and not my management. And my family too. There's so many things that I can use to benefit myself, and the way I live my life, my lifestyle incorporates into my training, my fighting, and my career as well. They all got to become one. And the more I learn, the closer that all gets to be. But no matter what, I know that all that I know is not enough, and that I can never know it all. So I just gotta
Well, that
keep
leads to
going.
my next question. You win Saturday. You're 5-2. You've already had 2 performance of the night bonuses in the UFC. Uh, how do you get to the next level? If you beat Max Griffin, you said he's not on your level. How do you get to that next level and be where you're in the rankings and you're able to compete for a championship someday? What is it going to take for you?
I really think it's gonna come down to patience, uh, focusing on the task at hand. Which for right now it'll be this weekend. I get this devastating knockout return after a decision loss, just like the Ellenberger one. That's what I'm looking to do, is get this devastating return, and then take my time, train properly, take care of my body, take the lessons that I learned this weekend, incorporate them into everything, and then we're gonna get a big fight after this one. We're gonna be top 15 after I get this win. We're gonna get another big fight, and then we really gotta put the game plan together with the management, the team, the family, everybody I can, and myself. All have to link together to be the best version of Team Platinum. And I think patience is a big key in that, because I am the most impatient. So patience for me will go far.
Well, be patient, my friend. I appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck on Saturday and going forward in your career. And we will definitely have you back at some point.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, my man. See you, Mike.